Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you step by step how I build a gaming PC. So if you're new to PC building, this video is for you.
Look at us, look at us. Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
Even if you're a seasoned veteran, there's probably some tips you'll be able to take from this video. I'll start by showing you how I pick parts out, making sure everything's compatible, and then I'll show you step by step how I put it together. I'll show you how to make it a little more sicko mode. We'll make sure it boots, and it's going to be really sicko mode. So before we get started, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. And every video I post will be more sicko mode than the last. All right, let's get to it. So when it comes to PC building, there's like a million different configurations you can go with. So it can get a little overwhelming, especially if you're new to it, or if it's been a while since you've built a PC. I personally use PC Part Picker. They even have build guides to help you pick out what parts you need. I usually start by selecting what CPU I want to go with, and then I build around that. Then I select what motherboard I want to go with, and then I go down the line. So it just makes it a lot easier to figure out what parts are compatible. Once I have my parts selected and I order everything, it is important to have the necessary tools to build a computer. I have gotten away with just using a regular Phillips head screwdriver. There are some screws that are smaller than your standard Phillips head. So I personally use the iFixit Pro Tech Tool Kit. It has really everything you need to start building a PC. This is what we would use at Geek Squad. It worked well. The tools are pretty sturdy and they last a long time, at least for PC gaming. The screwdriver kit is pretty much all you need. Some people say use an anti-sag strap. I personally don't use one. Most of the time, I just touch something that grounds me. I'm usually fine. I've never had an issue. So an overview of the parts that I decided to build with, going with the i5-13600K, which is one of the best gaming CPUs you can buy right now. Using a Gigabyte Z690 Aorus Elite motherboard. Still uses DDR4 RAM. It's not a big deal. You don't need DDR5 in 2023. In my testing, it doesn't make a big difference. 16 gigs of DDR4 3200 MHz Corsair Vengeance RAM. There's some RGB, so it looks kind of sicko mode. I'm pairing it with the Founders Edition RTX 3080. 4070 is comparable to a 3080, slightly better, but in 2023, a 3080 is still very capable. I'm using a 1TB Samsung Evo Plus NVMe. I'm going with an 850 watt EVGA GT power supply. For me personally, I like to go with a power supply that will allow me to upgrade in the future. Now to cool my processor, I am going with a single fan radiator. Now I am gonna put an additional 6 AF120 RGB Elite fans, and it's all gonna be inside the Corsair 4000D airflow case. If this is your first build, this is a good platform to start with. Really good airflow, good expansion options. Issue that I have with this case is if you try to vertically mount a GPU, your airflow will suck. Don't recommend it in this case at all. Other than that, it's an easy case to build in. Definitely recommend it, especially if it's your first build. Now for the fun part, we're gonna make a baby.
What?
Just kidding. We're gonna make a sicko mode gaming computer. First things first, make sure you have a flat surface to build on, like a table, a counter. Don't use the floor. So I typically start with the motherboard. I'll take it out whenever I'm building it. I like to put the motherboard on the motherboard box, and I'll use it kind of like a little platform to build on. The next thing I do is put the processor in the socket. You don't have to remove this plastic just yet. Be very careful with those pins. I've actually damaged them before. You don't know which way to put the processor in. There's this little arrow right here that tells you which way the processor is supposed to go. And if you look at the processor, there's actually a little arrow on the corner that tells you that arrow corresponds with that arrow on the board. That means this processor goes in this way. So once it's in, you'll close this flap, press down, and this plastic piece will start to lift up and you can just pull it right off. So if it's your first time, can be a little nerve-wracking. Just be careful, take your time. You don't want to rush it and risk damaging those pins. The next thing I like to put on the board is the RAM. Now I'm only using 2 sticks of RAM. This motherboard actually tells you which slots to use if you're only using 2. So it says use A2 and B2 first. Unless you have 4, then obviously you just fill all 4 up. So A2 and B2 means it's the 2nd slot and the 4th slot. So we'll go ahead and put the RAM in. There's a notch right there. Make sure you're not forcing it if it's not going in. They're not reversible. So just make sure you put it in properly and you press down and it should just clip. Push down and it should just clip in. The next thing I like to do is to install the NVMe. Make sure you're using the right size bits because it's very easy to strip these little screws. So on this particular board, the M.2 slot is under this shield, this heat shield. Whoops, it looks like I already have an SSD. Actually, we might just use that because I think it has Windows installed and everything on it. All right, heat shield back on. So now we have the RAM, the CPU, and the hard drive on the board. So the next thing I do is I typically set the motherboard aside and then I start preparing the case so I can put the motherboard in. Get off the glass, set it somewhere you know it's not gonna fall. I'm gonna be replacing all the fans. If that's what you plan on doing, replacing all the fans, I would just take the fans out right now. Now, if you're trying to take out the front fans, the way you access it in this particular case, a lot of cases have these dust filters and you should be able to pop out the front. Filter just comes out like that. And then you should have access to all the fans in the front. And I guess while we're at it, just pop out the back panel. So this is what the case looks like right before you put the motherboard in. And make sure that these risers are actually in the right spots. Put the motherboard in. Now the screws come with the case, they do not come with the motherboard, so don't be looking in that box, you won't find those screws there. Especially when you're using like a water cooler, they do require a bracket that goes behind the motherboard. I have an H9 Elite case, you actually do not have any space to access this, so you have to put the bracket on before you actually put the motherboard into the case. So just keep that in mind. So once I have the motherboard in, I know where all the power supply cables are gonna go. This is where I like to put in the power supply. This is a modular power supply, so I can pick and choose which cables I'm gonna be putting in. Pretty easy, just match up the labeling. You should be fine. I'm not gonna go into depth how to plug this in. This motherboard does have 12 CPU pins, so I'm gonna use 2 8-pin CPU cables. It's not necessary, but if you want to get more power to your CPU so that it runs more efficiently, you can use 2 of them. Now I said we're going with the 3080, so we'll do 2 PCIe connectors. I like to throw in a SATA power even if I'm not going to use it, just so it's already in there, because once you install a hard drive, it is kind of a hassle to access these ports once it's installed. Intake fans for the power supply go at the bottom because this case has room for an intake. Don't put it upside down. And typically your power supply comes with 4 screws. When I'm picking cases, I personally like to go with cases that cover the power supply. It just makes it easier to cable manage and it looks cleaner. Another thing I like to do to give the computer a cleaner look is use these braided PSU extensions. Just makes it look cleaner. It's not necessary, it's just something I prefer to do. I start by connecting the 24-pin connector to the motherboard and then I run it through the back. I'll do the same with the CPU connector. These can be tricky and pains in the butt, so just be patient. But this is why you don't install the fans, because the fan would definitely get in the way and make it even harder. So then we'll go ahead and connect all the case connectors. We'll start by connecting HD audio. HD audio is almost always on the left-hand side of the motherboard. Just match up the pins and it should look something like this. The front panel USB-C connector connects right there. Should go in relatively easy, kind of. If your power button and LED connectors are separate like this, they almost always go on the right-hand corner of the motherboard right here. I would look up the motherboard manual to see how they're connected, or just look up a diagram online. It's pretty universal. For the USB 3.0 connector, just pay attention to the notch, and once you find it on the board, it's fairly simple to plug in. If your case has Velcro straps to cable manage, do your best to use them. Try to pull any slack the cables have to keep the inside of the case as clean as possible. Now we'll install the CPU cooler. In the box, there should be a bracket that's meant for your processor. This bracket's adjustable to fit multiple socket types. Align the bracket with the back of the motherboard. Use these double-threaded screw things to secure it to the motherboard. Then I attach the fan to the radiator. Make sure the fan is positioned to blow through the radiator and exhaust out the back of the case. Make sure this cable is on the inside. Those cables are the fan connector and the RGB connector. They both will be routed through there. The fan connector will eventually be connected right there. Leave both cables unplugged for now, we'll plug them in a little bit. Now we'll screw the radiator to the back of the case where it's going to exhaust. Now connect the fan connector. Now I secure the water block using these thumb screws. The water block does have pre-installed thermal paste, so just be careful not to get it everywhere. Like the radiator and the fan, route the cable through the back and connect the fan connector to the fan header on the motherboard, and leave the RGB connector unplugged as well. Now for the front RGB fans, route the cables through the back before installing. Position each fan as an intake and secure all 3 fans. The same goes for the top fans, route the cables through the back and position and secure the fans as an exhaust. Put the dust filters on for you dusty motherfuckers. Connect all the fan RGB connectors that weren't connected into this RGB hub. Then connect the RGB hub to the SATA power connector on the power supply. Both the hub and the water block have this USB connector to allow you to control the RGB. Connect them to the USB headers on the motherboard. Oh, and don't forget to connect the fans to the fan headers on the motherboard as well. And it should look something like this. Next, we'll remove 2 of these back plates to install the graphics card, which is a 2-slot card. Click open the PCIe port. Carefully install your graphics card until you hear a click, and then secure it with the 2 thumb screws so that it doesn't sag. The Founders Edition cards come with this PCIe power adapter. Plug that hoe into the PCIe power connectors from the power supply, and then connect to the GPU. Pull any slack these cables may have to the back. Also, make sure you remove all the plastic if they're new PC parts that you're using. Make sure there isn't any cables in the way. And don't do what I did and try to use your weight to close the back panel. Try to cable manage it so that it fits better. Now that we got her all built, typically don't put the glass on yet until it boots up. And let's see if she actually boots up. So this is the first time I'm gonna power it on. So if something's wrong, we'll figure it out together. But let's go ahead and see. All right, so it did boot right into Windows. Let's make sure the CPU temp is okay. So the only issue is that the RGB on the cooler is not turning on. So I was reading up and a lot of people are actually having issues with the H60X Elite pump, saying that that won't turn on.
Enjoyed the ride.
Everything else works. I'm just disappointed in that cooler. I've had it for like over almost 2 months in the box and I choose to pull it out now and it's not working, so. Thanks, Corsair. I guess it's just part of the building experience. Once you build enough, you'll run into issues like this where there's just defective parts or there's recall on parts. I've had a couple of NZXT M22 coolers go out on me because they were defective. The liquid ends up evaporating prematurely. Every now and again, you'll run into issues like that. The point of this video was to show you how I build computers. Hopefully there was useful tips that you can use. When I was working at Geek Squad, this was the quickest and most efficient way I found that I was able to build these computers in. The way this build looks, honestly, I don't really like the way it looks. I thought it would look way cooler. I had this configuration without any RGB fans and it was just the AMD Wraith Spire cooler with my 3060 Ti, and I think that looked cooler than this build. Whether it's in Corsair cases like that, in NZXT cases, built-in Fantex cases, built-in Apevia cases, you're gonna kind of follow these same steps. Just the difference is like the motherboard you choose, the type of RGB fans you choose. They may have different connectors. Like if you get cheap RGB fans, they're Molex connectors. All these Molex connectors. That's pretty gross. So there's just a bunch of different variables. Hopefully this video helps. It's a pretty standard case and the components are pretty popular. Please like and subscribe if you like this content. If you have any questions about anything, please leave it in the comments below. I strive to make every video more sicko mode than the last. Like always, have a sicko mode day.